Hi, this is attorney Nicole Christie from the Christie Law Firm, where we work hard to make families stronger. And so our purpose of these videos is to give you enough information to help you deal with DCF. DCF is a large entity in our state. They have a very large budget. And so the more information you know is the better it will be for you in dealing with DCF. And so today I want to talk to you about guardianship. In this first part, we'll talk about what guardianship means and when someone else has guardianship of your children, and also the three types of guardianships that you see regularly. And so when it gets to a point where DCF and or the court has decided that reunification is no longer an option, that means that the parents haven't rehabilitated to the point where they can be reunified with their children. One example is substance abuse. So for example, if someone is actively using an illegal substance or actively using alcohol or abusing alcohol, and they just haven't been able to get to a point where there's no longer an issue and the kids are able to be safely returned, it's at that point that DCF and the court has to decide what should happen to the child. And one of the options is for a transfer of guardianship. And that means that the parents still have their parental rights. They still have the ability to reunify, or at least be in the future, they could reunify with the child. They can get reinstated. But basically, the parents no longer have the right to say where the kids go to school, where they're going to live, who they're going to be with. And that can be transferred to another person. Oftentimes, it is the current foster parent of the child, who could be a relative or even a non-relative, someone that the child has been living with probably the entire time while they were in foster care. And so there are three different types of guardianships that you typically see when dealing with DCF and the juvenile court. The first is what we often call a straight transfer of guardianship. That means that the person just gets the guardianship. There's no further follow-up once that happens. The case is closed in court, and eventually DCF will close out its case. And so that person at that point stands in the place of DCF. They get to decide where the child lives, how they're raised, where the child goes to school, their medical, and also they get to decide whether or not the parents have contact, and what level of contact. Is it supervised, unsupervised? Do they get to spend the weekends? And so it is a great disposition in that the parents still have a means of being able to come back because their parental rights hasn't been terminated, but it does mean that the child has a permanency and it's not with the parent. The other two options are subsidized guardianship as well as a permanent guardianship. And so subsidized guardianship is that the guardianship has a subsidy every month, and so the child has to be placed with that particular person. That person has to have been a licensed foster care for the child for some period of time, and after that period of time they are eligible to get a subsidy. So it's an amount that they get for the child, and if there are more than one child, it's several amounts that they may get for each child. And so that's often used when the foster parents, maybe they might need additional financial support to be able to take on the care of this child permanently. And so sometimes people think, oh, they're just in it for the money, but in all fairness, kids are expensive. They cost a lot, food and clothing, and especially when they're going through growth spurts, buying clothes constantly, and just caring for a child tends to be expensive. So in all fairness, these are kids that ordinarily this person didn't really plan on having, but they do have these kids, and so they get support through a subsidy. The last example, as I mentioned earlier, is the permanent guardianship. That's a tough one because it means just that the guardianship is permanent, that the parents cannot come back at a later date and ask to be reinstated. And so that permanent guardianship is based on what they call termination of parental rights grounds. So perhaps the father or mother has not rehabilitated to the point of reunification. Maybe there's abandonment. There's different scenarios, but it's very important that if DCF is mentioning guardianship, that you understand what type of guardianship it is that they are recommending to you, because the type of guardianship impacts whether or not you get to come back and try to get reinstated with your child. So it's just something to think about when DCF is offering another plan if reunification is not the option. I say keep fighting until a judge says, no, the kids are not coming back home. Because it's important to your kids to know that you fought for them and you did everything you could to get them back home. So we do have additional videos, and please check out our channel. We have other videos about how to deal with DCF. Again, our purpose is to help you be able to have enough information that you can deal with this large entity on your own, or if you need help, please don't hesitate to let us know. All right, take care.